sign-in sheet going around?
Yes.
It's right here.
Okay. Everybody signed it?
Yep.
Right, it is 3:00 on May the 19th. We're at the Historical Zoning Commission and Common Design Review Board. I will call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum. If you will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In front of you, you have the minutes from our meeting on April 21st. I'd like to take a moment to look over them, see if there are any additions or deletions. If not, I will entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes carried. You have, this time, we'll turn the Historic Zoning Commission and Common Design Review Board cases over. We just have two. The overlay for questions, and to be able to send that on to, where do we send that on to? To the Planning Commission from here. And then just a presentation, no vote, from the Clarksville Performing Arts Center. So, Brett, I guess, will you start this off?
Is it my show today?
Oh, is it your show? Who's?
All right. I'll go over it and Brent can help out. Back in December, Councilmember Deanna McLaughlin and then Councilmember Wanda Allen both passed resolutions with the City Council. It got nearly unanimous approval, I believe, to ask for a overlay district very similar to the Madison Street overlay district for Fort Campbell Boulevard and Tiny Town Road. And that is due back to them at the end of this month. So I'll give you the last couple months of what we did and then go over in front of you. We may have a couple floating copies. You should have a clean copy. I also have several red line copies if you want to see a little more. So on the screen in front of you, this is the map of the Fort Campbell overlay. We pick it up pretty much at Dover Road, Dover Crossing, go all the way up to the state line. It does catch a couple properties that are maybe one or two deep on the side, or if there's a property that's been split, has a little flag. So it's not always just what's on Fort Campbell Boulevard, but it's everything that touches Fort Campbell Boulevard and a couple additional properties that are maybe on a side street that's 100 foot back, 200 foot back. So it's pretty contiguous all the way up and down the road there. No, go back, sorry. The different colors you see here are what we call the sub-districts, and I'll talk about them a little later, but working south to north, we have the Dover Crossing sub-district. Then, similar to the Madison Street district, we have a highway district, areas where there's just large lots of commercial. And then we have the Cunningham Lafayette sub-district, or Concord sub-district, I believe. Then the Ringgold Mills sub-district working north. Then another little bit of highway district, and then one we call the Gateway District. Basically is the gateway to the community and the gateway to Fort Campbell and the new Wings of Liberty Museum. On the next map, so this is Tiny Town Road. We had to split it into two because it's a very long road east to west. Working at the top map from the left to the right is west to east. So again, a little bit of Gateway District there on Tiny Town Road up to Outlaw Field Road. Or Airport Road. Highway District to the north, that's in the current Airport District. And then you have the Pembroke Crossroads in that area in brown. And then in the light green, you have residential districts. There are still several places along Tiny Town that have exclusive single-family or multifamily districts. Then you work a little farther to the east, you get to the Barker's Mill sub-district with some highway and residential in between, and then an interchange district. I'm sorry, there's also an Allen Road district in between as well. And then there's an interchange district, which for this purpose operates just like a highway district, but in case we want to do anything in the future different, we called it interchange just to be different. Even though the rules, what was asked for said stop, do Tiny Town Road, we felt it was a little short to just stop right at Trenton Road, so we took in all the C4 parcels up and down Trenton Road in that area to make it more contiguous. That's all the C4 commercial parcels in the bottom right of that map. Just like with the Madison Street District, the highway sub-district, the residential sub-district, and now the interchange district reverts to base zoning for your setbacks, your height, your parking, your uses. The other districts, as you can see in the pages in front of you, it's numbered a little differently. On pages 267, 68, and 69, you'll see these charts. The first chart should be familiar to you. That's the MLK and Madison Street sub-districts. There are no changes in here. And then we created two charts, one for Fort Campbell and one for Tiny Town. In those sub-districts that I mentioned, with the exception of residential, highway, and interchange, there are some slightly different setbacks that can be asked for. They're not mandatory. They can ask to come in and waive them to these lesser amounts. There's a certain height requirements, also some glazing requirements, and that's one of the big ones, that the front facade must have somewhere between 40 or 60% glass in some of these areas to give it more of an inviting feeling. It does actually raise the building height maximum above what the base zoning is allowed in these areas. Instead of 35 feet, sometimes it's 40 or 50 feet. And also talks about the lot coverage. It also requires that the majority of the building front the road, so you don't get a lot of shotgun buildings sideways. You want the majority of the building facing the road in this sub-district. And as you all know, these can all be requested to be waived from time to time depending on the situation of the parcel. What's our next slide? Do we just have the maps, or do we have all the boards too? So staff, over the last month, we sent out almost 700, right? Almost 700? 550 to 600, okay, almost 600 letters to all the affected property owners with the maps attached, and said, for more information, go to the website or call us. I don't know about Friday or Monday. I haven't checked in with you. Have we had many more calls Friday or Monday? We did field quite a few calls, though, about 2 to 3 weeks ago when the letters first went out. We've probably fielded about 50 total phone calls, and then we held 2 public information sessions, one at the airport and one at the Kleeman Rec Center last week on Tuesday and Wednesday night from 5 to 7. We had about another total of about 40, 45 folks show up to those combined events. These are some examples of the boards we had. We had them blown up to 2 foot by 3 foot. Shows the on the left there is the appropriate materials, so brick, metal, glass, and stone. And then on the right is accent materials that you can use. And this was just a good way, and I think we're actually going to use these boards to make a manual out of, or a policy like document. If you're going to develop in these districts, here's a style guide that you can use to give you some ideas. We may touch the pictures up a little bit, get a little more relevant pictures, but I think it was very, very well received so people could see what exactly the materials were and weren't. On the next slide, we also had on the left side there, that's discouraged materials. We can't say prohibited thanks to the state of Tennessee, but they're discouraged materials. Vinyl, mirrored metals, mirrored glasses, those types of things. And then on the right side, we had one about the prohibited signage. I would say the majority of the questions we got were about signage, or sometimes the materials, like, do I have to do this now? And I'll go over those in a minute. On the signage, we did include inflatables this time, just to be very clear. We do believe they're currently regulated by the city's rules under temporary signage, but we just wanted to be very clear about that. This, much like Madison Street currently, this will regulate electronic message centers, which are the with the words or the pictures on the LED screens. We will likely come back in the next month or two if this does pass at City Council, which I anticipate it does. We have been working on Madison Street until this kind of derailed us a little bit, to have a regulation to allow some electronic message centers, but not the exclusive sign. Right now in the city, you can have 80% of your sign be an electronic message center. We don't think that's appropriate for Madison Street, maybe 40 or 50%, and we've been working with the sign companies. We kind of hit pause on that to see if this passes, And if not, if this does, we'll bring back in some language changing all of what we just adopted to allow some use of electronic message centers. But we didn't want to confuse one with the other at this time. On another important point here, on Madison Street, the freestanding signage height is limited to 20 feet. Because Fort Campbell's a 7-lane road and Tiny Town Road is 5 with shoulders, we feel that 30 feet is more appropriate, and raise that from 50 square feet to 100 square feet. That is still smaller than some of the biggest signs that are out there on both of those roads. We have measured some signs that we feel are appropriate. They would fall within the guidelines, so we feel pretty comfortable about that. What this allows is if you're the 6th or 7th lane over from a business, you're not straining to see a 30-foot sign you can see over the traffic next to you. The 20-foot sign could be difficult to see. We did not change any of the mechanics of this. It still has some staff level review. Some things come to the board. We did provide some additional clarifications from time to time through the rest of it. Like any zoning ordinance that goes in place, this will create a moment in time where anything installed as of the date of adoption is considered grandfathered or illegal non-conforming use. Anything going forward, whether someone is going to replace the material on their building, do a branding change on their sign, or change the materials on the building, that would require them to come back to the planning commission or come to this board, depending on what that is. So the folks who have stuff may not be conforming. It may be painted cinder block, it may be vinyl. If they're just repairing it, and this is what we told everyone at the meetings, if you're just repairing it, if you're just keeping it up for so it's not getting weathered, so it looks still good, we're not going to make you come in just because you're painting your existing cinder block. If you decide to go from cinder block to metal siding, then we're going to have a conversation about bringing it up to the current codes. If you're building a new building, if you're putting an addition on, that's when it would trigger it. If you're putting a new sign up. So this is all triggered by new development or redevelopment of a building or parcel out there. Brent, am I missing anything else? Okay. So again, this was asked for by 2 separate resolutions, but we figured that they are very similar. They have their own sub-districts, they have their own charts, but we're bringing it forward as one ordinance to City Council. I think at this time I'll be happy to answer any questions. This will require a public hearing, Mr. Chairman, when we get around to it.
Give me ask you. Any questions for Mr. Tyndall? Yes, ma'am.
So this outlay will not affect residential.
Correct. In the state of Tennessee, unless you're in a historic district, which these are not, a planning commission or design board cannot regulate single-family houses.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Tyndall, while we're doing Fort Campbell Boulevard and Tiny Town Road, why not go for the whole enchilada and do Wilma Rudolph and 101st? Everybody on the same sheet of music.
This has kind of been the staff's feelings over the past years is where do you start? You know, is it Peacher's Mill next? Is it Dover Road next? Is, you know, what road is next? I can tell you there's good things that come out of this. Some things are a little onerous at times. As we are going through our entire zoning code rewrite, I think there's good things in there. We may adopt citywide some of the signage things. When you start doing materials citywide, that gets a little trickier, but I do think there's some levels of this we can apply citywide. But I do think the signage has a good opportunity citywide. But yes, we will be looking into what can be done citywide, what should be kept at a corridor, can we raise the standard overall? I agree, this is a good test bed, but you're leaving now Wilma Rudolph and other places as well, potentially being the next ones. And we're just gonna keep chasing our tail until we do every main road.
Right.
And then we're probably gonna forget a road somewhere and have to do that one as well, so. I know, I agree with what you're saying.
Any other questions for Mr. Tyndall? Seeing none, we will now open the public hearing for ZO 7-2025. Is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor of it? Please come forward, state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes. Anybody that wishes to speak in favor? Seeing none, anyone that wishes to speak in opposition, please come forward, state your name and your address, and you will have 3 minutes. Anyone to speak in opposition? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing at this time. Are there any other questions or a motion? Would anybody like to make a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion's been made
Second.
and properly seconded. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we'll go forward to the planning commission.
I will add, this will add additional responsibilities to the staff, but we do have another staff member besides Brent who we think can help shoulder some of this burden. His name's Sam. He's going through an architectural program right now with Arizona State Online, I think. It's an online program, but he's getting an architectural degree, so we think this is kind of the natural flow for him just to be involved in this. And if it gets too much for Brent, he knows when to cry uncle, and we'll get Sam in there involved. But last year, I think we saw about 22 or so additional plans. We went and said, if everything else that went to the planning commission would have had to come to the design board, you would have seen about 22 additional plans last year. So it will be some additional work. I can't guarantee as many months off as you used to have here. And I think we also talked about in our budget next year, your pay in July 1. We're also going to raise that to $100 instead of the $75 to kind of fall in line with what other city and county departments do on a per diem basis. So that's all I got on that.
I got a question.
Yes, ma'am.
You said you're raising the pay for us.
Mhm.
You keep saying $75. I don't get $75.
You probably get about $69.
That's about
Yeah.
it.
And we have to take out taxes and TCRS.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right,
Yep.
okay. So that's the gross. I
Yeah.
got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got it.
Like, wait a minute.
All right, our next thing up today is a presentation by Brad Martin, architect for Lyle Cook Martin, who's been working on the Roxy Regional Theater, and he wants to give you an update and answer any questions on the project.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not Brad Martin, and Lisa is very grateful. If I may, just say, first of all, thank you to each of you for serving on this board. It's very important. Y'all had a bit of a heavy lift over the last few months with your agenda and the items, and you've done very, very well by our city and our community. So thank you for that. I also want to say thank you to the staff, Brent especially, for his help with this project. This has been a long time coming, and we want to give you an update on the Performing Arts Center project in the core and the heart of our downtown on a very iconic corner there at First and Franklin. So with your permission, Mr. Chairman, I'll call on Brad Martin, who'll do the play-by-play.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So when is this new architect coming on board? I'm kidding, I'm kidding. I'm Brad Martin, Lyle Cook Martin Architects, located just across the block over here downtown. And am very fortunate to have been selected as the lead architect for the CPAC project, or I still call it the Roxy. I can't help that. I was raised with it. So early on, Mayor Pitts gave the design team an assignment. It was very simple. He said, design a world-class performing arts center. So that's what we started to do. That was my assignment, right? And that has been one of the most difficult projects that I probably will ever have. Maybe other than our firm restoring the historic courthouse, this may be it. When it's done, if I'm still alive, that'll be a big deal. The design team, let me see if I can show you something worth looking at here. We will go to that one first. You've probably seen this. This has been out there for a little while when we first introduced the initial design. So give you a little history of the project. The design team includes a host of local and out-of-town architects and engineers and specialty consultants. And Gary, you may have seen several of us in front of your shop parading up and down the street, up here and there. We used as many local engineers, TTL Civil, K&S Structural Engineers here in town. H&A is a Tennessee-based mechanical, plumbing, and electrical firm. But when the mayor said world-class, you have to look to world-class people to do their specialty design work. So we did some research, and I had a contact, and that contact panned out. So we enlisted what we feel is a team of acousticians, theater consultants, AV and IT experts dedicated toward theater design that is above any in the country. They do things all over the world. They did the Schermerhorn project, most of them did. The teams changed, but this basic team did Schermerhorn. They did the Belmont Fisher Center. They did the Country Music Hall of Fame's round auditorium, which was very difficult because you're not supposed to design round auditoriums because sound comes to the center point. So we feel really good about the team. We counted, Tracy, 18 contributors to the team, and typically on a project of this size, you would have no more than 8 individuals, maybe 9 working on it. So this is a push-up. This is a big deal. I cut my teeth measuring and designing and drawing downtown circa 1880s buildings on Franklin Street for the first 10 years of my career. And then the tornado hit in '99, and I did it again. So this is my home downtown. Our office has always been downtown. This is not a project, this is a passion. This is what I call a career project. If I hang it up after this project, Mayor, it'll all be worth it. So that was my preamble. Early discoveries about the building. We conducted a survey before any design work was done of the existing building with a program of spaces and use in mind that was really started before we got involved. This project has evolved over 3 mayors, theoretically. And this mayor's the one that said, let's get it done. So based on that, we looked at the building as far as its structural integrity, mechanical systems, hazardous materials. Does it meet codes as far as ADA or seismic wind loads and earthquake, and it doesn't meet anything. It actually, when it was built, it was a stout building for its day. The bones of this thing predate the 1940s construction, but for its time period, it was a concrete structure below grade, which is nothing else down there is that I know of that time frame. But today, it lacks everything. There's no insulation in the building other than a thin layer at the roof. You've got hazardous material still in the building. There's not anything I can find that meets handicapped accessibility except for opening 2 doors at one time to get in the front door. But the glazed yellow brick facade and its shoulder, I don't want to hit anybody in the head, right there and that shoulder and that marquee are worth doing something with. And so that was the mode of design origins to try to work with that Art Deco concept. The program of the space is such that if we're going, so let me tell you what the basic program components were. To create a main level theater space, performing arts center, to seat around 500 people with another flexible sort of black box auditorium for a little over 200 people. And to have these available for the community at the same time. So that brings in a whole level of complexity that we're working through right now. It's a very big deal. So the concept is, and I'm going to stay here on this drawing, this for a minute, would be to tear down all of that red brick, well, this is new, but you know what I'm saying, take everything down except for the yellow brick box. That was the initial concept. And then we started getting into the serious design of this thing. Let's see here if I can go back. So that is the main auditorium. That's Franklin Street. That's a walk through the oval, current lobby area. The concept was to be tear down all this behind us, which is only this big right now, and fill the block basically with all the components required to do what our program calls for. So the main auditorium is on this level, a pre-function space is here. This oval space, which is the same exact thing as what's there right now, that's your entry vestibule, basically. So the thing that the existing building is lacking, there's no pre-function space. You walk in the vestibule and you're there, that's it. Then you walk into the theater. So like even TPAC in Nashville, which is out of date at this point, there's a huge pre-function space. So that's what that is, that serves this level auditorium. Tracy, do I have the next level? No, I don't. We're really not, your business is not interiors, but I want to give you a history of this thing. So above this would be a balcony, and above all that is a top-level flexible auditorium I talked about with a rooftop area that you see right there. So this would be an event space, flexible space, black box theater, et cetera, with opportunities for public gatherings and dinners and so forth up there. So in the development and working through the details of this thing with 18 different consultants and so forth, the first thing that became a problem was the floor-to-floor height between this main level auditorium and the second level auditorium, given there's a balcony in the middle. The vertical floor-to-floor distances far exceed the current squatty floor-to-floor distances in the building. So the thought was, Brad's thought, because everybody kept saying, Brad, you're losing your mind, was to keep that wall and that wall and take everything else down and build back to it. Well, then we started investigating further with the top masonry contractor in the state of Tennessee. We've got one of the best contractors in R.C. Matthews for this project we can find. They rebuilt some of those projects on 2nd Avenue after the bombing. And they have a great local guy, Will Adams, who you played football with. But and the late founder of the company, Mr. Matthews, built that building right there, which is really interesting. I don't know if you know that. When they had the opportunity, they competed for it, and that was one reason they got their numbers where they needed to be, because they wanted to do this project very badly. With this, so what I'm getting at is, everybody was telling me, Brad, we can't keep that yellow box. We could try, but it's going to cost you $3 million additional to do it, and you're going to end up with cracks right here, and if you walk up to it, every brick, just about, and these pictures don't do it justice, but you find little cracks and grazes on almost all that yellow glazed brick. It's 80 years old. So then I thought, okay, we're going to saw cut the brick out, we're going to stockpile it, we're going to put it back in the building and buy brick to match it. Well, we have wonderful examples of brick that have been brought to us by the contractor, but they're not right on. They're just not. And the other thing is, when a human saw cuts every one of these bricks out to salvage it, they're going to demolish it. This glazed brick is, we didn't bring an example. We forgot the brick. But you can't do it. When you tuck point brick, it's a human doing this with a little Makita saw. And they're going to hit the edges of those brick, and they're going to look worse than they are today. But I'm telling you, and this anguishes me more than anybody. Is that fair to say? The plan right now is to tear the building down and build the yellow brick box back to copying all the details. We have the details digitized. We hired a company called Scan Skunks that spent days down there with all this drone footage, and I don't know what, you know better than I do what they do. But they convert the existing building into video fly-throughs and fly-arounds, and AutoCAD, which is our main drafting program, and Revit, which is the new latest version of that. So we have it, we captured it. So now the concept is, let me go back to my pretty drawing, to reconstruct the box with these same details, but we are dedicated to taking that marquee sign down and having it restored and put back in place. That's my compromise to myself. I mean, we just have to do that. And we feel very confident about that because it's been done before. when the Coca-Cola sign hit it, or some company hit it, or in their truck, and they took it down, sent it to Memphis, they restored it and put it back. So it needs work again. We want to modernize that sign. In fact, what's really cool, if you walk right there and you look up, you'll see the nameplate of the company that built the sign in the first place, and they're still in Memphis. There's like 5 of them now. I think all the grandkids got mad at the granddaddy and formed their own businesses. So that's my story behind the yellow glazed brick. And after months of the design team and the building team telling me, you have to think about this differently, Brad, I'm thinking about it differently now. But I feel good about it, because what we will come back with is a building that captures the spirit of the Art Deco facade and the marquee and the signage and so forth, but it'll be done in a modern way that will last more than 80 years. In fact, the contractor and I were talking today. He said, Brad, this will be a 100-year building. And that's pretty unheard of right now. Typically, you don't build buildings more than 40 or 50 years until major overhauls have to occur. Now, with this, I haven't spent a lot of time talking about what happens with it, but we plan on doing an outdoor pocket park that steps back toward this bridge that was just finished by the city, that will lead people from the parking garage into the plaza and into Franklin Street. It's just a great scenario. Down here will be the potential for a coffee shop, a little sandwich shop, whatever, during day use, as well as night use also. The other thing is, we have the opportunity to still see a large swath of that mural on the Brenner building right there, which a lot of people ask me about that. Are you hiding the mural? So just kind of working my way around it. Within this building as well, we will have some areas for city offices. The current Roxy will be a tenant. Their company will be a tenant. Their offices actually will be down here. This is First Street walking down the hill. So we've got a series of landscaping and steps and flats and steps and flats that get you down to the bottom. A parallel project of this is redoing First Street, because right now there are all kinds of wacky utilities in the street. We think we know where everything is, but we really don't. And so that's a parallel project to it. And there's also handicap's not the right word, safety concerns with the other side of First Street along Bobby Roy Lance's building that will be addressed with this as well. So you're seeing, back up here, that's the yellow brick box. This is the pre-function space within. It's glass. No, there'll be a big, sophisticated pull-down shade apparatus during western dropping sun times. Then that's the main body of the theater on the main floor, and then this jumps up above where that flexible studio theater is. And then all the back here, that's really just hiding the fly space and the back of house space. There will be a truck dock area down here below with a little covered piece that jumps out over that as well. I think that's the last slide right there. So, in conclusion, again, this is a career project for me. This is a really, really big honor, not for me, but for Tracy Miller, project manager, and my whole firm, and this whole 18-person team. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer questions, and Mayor Pitts can as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for the presentation. I like the building. I think it looks good.
Thank you.
How many floors will be in this building?
There are 3 primary floors. You've got well, that's not true, 4. You've got a basement where you'll have actors' spaces and all that below grade functional space. The main floor auditorium, and you've got a balcony that's a partial floor, and then you've got a top floor above that.
Okay, so will there be elevator
Yes.
in there?
Mhm,
Good.
mhm.
Okay.
There'll be 2 elevators.
On that side right there, you see beside the, the little, look like porches, I don't know, it's not a porch, but.
Right there.
Uh-huh. Will those be apartments or those will be?
They're not, there'll be meeting rooms and gathering spaces that come off of those pre-function, public spaces within. So let's say there's a group in town that needs to rent a space for 25 people to have a banquet, that's what that is, yeah.
So we have that event rental, as well. You have a rental room in there as well.
Right.
So if we having like actors coming in from out of town, big function, that bottom space down there, will they be able to drive around the back? Will they be able to drive in there, in and get out the car? Somebody, I'm just gonna use this for example.
Well-
Let's say it was Michael Jackson. He did. We know he did, but I'm just saying, you know, somebody of that stature.
What we will have right there, and it's not picking up very well, but there will be an indention in that sidewalk where a limousine, actually a tractor trailer could pull in if you need to, but you'll have a spot to pull right up there in front of that plaza. And then you have the main doors of the building here, but there's also a door right, a double door glass entry right there too.
There won't be an entry from the back anywhere like.
There
a big-
will be, but it's more back of house.
Okay.
Oh, okay, good point. So, you know, most of your parking, we hope, will be in the parking garage.
Right.
There is a doorway halfway down that wall right there for actors, staff,
Good.
You
To come
know,
in that way.
controlled access. So if a star were to come here, they could actually park them in the garage, get them in the side of the building, and
Go up the elevator.
nobody will mess with them.
That's good, for security purposes.
That's a good
what
point.
I'm thinking, you know,
Sure,
bring in some big people to Clarksville, you know.
Yeah.
Gotta have them secure, we need that.
right. That's
Security.
the place to do it right there.
Okay. All right.
But you will be able to get, you'll be able to pull it. There is a spot right now, Gary, it's about right there, right? There's a little indention in the sidewalk, I believe. We're gonna make it bigger for that purpose. Not right in front of the door. We don't wanna have cars in front of the door, but it will be like right in there.
So they can- okay.
Any other questions?
I got one.
Go ahead.
Just a couple of questions. My first one is it gonna be all brick, all the areas? And then my second question is, going down that street, First Street, it looks like you've got a lot of landscaping, which is great, and the sidewalk. Are you gonna narrow those driving lanes at all?
Great question. So right now you have parallel parking at a really steep slope, that goes away. And
Okay.
the rationale behind that is it's too steep. Right now doors flap and flop, but also you've got the new parking garage, so,
Right.
you know. So we're taking that away and, Jeff, I'm trying not to hit you in the eye with this. The road will stay the same width, but now that island of sidewalk and steps and landscaping, it's like 22 feet wide. It'll be very nice. It'll be a lot better than it is right now.
Is it gonna be all brick?
The sidewalks,
No, all the building.
Oh.
Like the dark part of the building?
most of it. So right now, that is scheduled to be slate. And it's a rain screen system. I don't want the whole darn thing just to be a big monolith of brick. I wanted to break it up. And so, right now, that is slate, and the rationale is, and we don't have slate walls in Clarksville yet. But it's all over the world, basically. And I'm trying to pick up conceptually on some of the slate on the courthouse and the museum and different steeples and so forth. But quite honestly, we're still studying that because I will tell you that is the most expensive skin on the building right now. So we're looking at other options, but it can't be on the low end. It's gotta be, you know, performing arts level material. But Marcia, I just don't want to have the whole thing brick. It just doesn't, you
Oh,
know,
the slate would be beautiful.
it's a very nice material, but it's expensive.
Brad, thanks for the presentation today, and I just want to make sure something doesn't get lost in the translation. The yellow brick that's going back is a similar glazed brick. It's going to be speckled different, maybe a slightly different hue, but it is a glazed brick, not just a yellow
Right.
off-the-shelf
That's
brick.
right. And
Okay.
I brought that to you the other day. Yeah, you saw it.
I just want to make
We
sure
sat
for the
down
board.
informally, and
Yeah,
I
we've
just
talked
kinda-
a few times.
The brick that we have like the samples of right now are so superior, even to that brick when it was new. I mean, it's really nice brick. But it is the yellow tint. We're still working on the exact color, but it has a little flake, a little black flake in it, several different flakes. Go up there right to the building and stand right here and look at the bricks. Because you might find a perfect one, and look at every brick around it. It's like, you know, if we can salvage brick, and we don't think it's well enough to put back on the exterior, and we know it's gonna be virtually impossible to match, we have opportunities inside the building, in the pre-function public spaces, that could be really nice. So with the right level, you might not see the kind of rough edges, but then it might be okay in there, you know? So, anyway.
Any other questions?
I got one more question, I promise. Now, on the top, y'all know I'm gonna ask these questions. Cause I know you'll be bringing this proposal before the council as well, I believe, I might, no, it won't be, okay. All right, well, I might as well ask now. On the top here, will there be a restaurant?
Right now, it's a rooftop terrace
Oh,
for receptions and so forth.
oh, okay.
I mean, who knows? Who knows? But
There needs to be something.
but it'll be leasable space for an event.
Right.
I mean, you know, for receptions and all that.
I mean, just a thought. It'd be good to put a restaurant up there.
Well,
We can continue to make money from that.
one thing that we made the team, and I'm talking more than 18 people at this point, considering the owners, food service is really, really expensive. You know that. So if we were to make this, have a full bore kitchen in this building, we just took it to another level, cost-wise and every other way. And so what we're doing is a catering kitchen
Oh, okay.
type of scenario
Okay,
in
I
several
see.
places in the building to allow caterers to come in and do full
Oh, I
sit-down
see.
dinners, but then they take everything away when they're done.
So you're gonna have to still kind of set up a kitchen.
Right, it's
Style, yeah.
catering. Mhm.
Yeah, all right.
Yep, yep.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Anybody have any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Is there anyone is there any other business to come before this body?
No other business today, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Anyone that wishes to make a public comment limited to the agenda? Anybody that wishes to make a public comment? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion's been made and seconded a lot.
I second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, we're adjourned. Thank you very much. And everybody have a great Memorial Day.
Don't get me in any more trouble than I'm already in, okay?